Steve Biko, a prominent anti-apartheid activist in South Africa, became a powerful symbol of resistance against the oppressive apartheid regime during the 1960s and 1970s. As the founder of the Black consciousness movement, Biko sought to empower Black South Africans to reclaim their identity and dignity in a society that systematically dehumanized them. His activism, marked by a commitment to nonviolent resistance and intellectual rigor, challenged the apartheid state and inspired a generation of South Africans to rise against racial injustice. This narrative explores Biko's life, his contributions to the anti-apartheid struggle, and the enduring impact of his activism on South Africa and the world.
Born on December 8, 1946, in King Williamstown, South Africa, Steve Biko grew up in a society deeply divided by the apartheid system. Apartheid, instituted by the National Party government in 1948, enforced racial segregation and denied the majority Black population basic rights, including political representation, quality education, and economic opportunities. From an early age, Biko experienced the harsh realities of apartheid and was drawn to political activism. While studying medicine at the University of Natal, Biko became involved in the National Union of South African Students, NUSAS, a multiracial organization advocating for the rights of Black students. However, he grew frustrated with the limited effectiveness of NUSAS, which he felt was dominated by white liberals who, despite good intentions, could not fully understand or represent the experiences of Black South Africans. This realization led him to form the South African Students' Organization, SASO, in 1969, a Black-led student movement dedicated to addressing the specific needs and rights of Black students.
Biko's formation of SASO marked the beginning of the Black consciousness movement, which sought to awaken a sense of pride, self-worth, and political awareness among Black South Africans. At the heart of Black consciousness was the belief that liberation could only be achieved when Black people freed themselves from the psychological chains of oppression and rejected the internalized racism that apartheid had instilled in them. This was a radical departure from traditional anti-apartheid strategies that relied heavily on cooperation with white-led organizations and the hope of gradual reform. Biko argued that true liberation required Black South Africans to take control of their own destiny and reject the notion of inferiority that the apartheid system imposed on them. Biko's philosophy posed a direct challenge to the apartheid regime, which sought to control not only the political and economic spheres but also the minds of the oppressed. The government viewed Black consciousness as a dangerous ideology that could galvanize mass resistance and disrupt the carefully maintained racial hierarchy. Biko's activism led to his expulsion from medical school, and in 1973, he was banned by the government. A form of house arrest restricted his movements, prohibited him from speaking in public, and limited his association with others.
Despite being banned, Biko continued his activism covertly. He traveled secretly to meet with community leaders, students, and activists, spreading the message of Black consciousness and encouraging Black South Africans to organize and resist. He also wrote extensively, using pseudonyms to publish articles that critiqued apartheid and advocated for a new sense of Black identity. In 1977, Biko's activism led to his arrest. He was detained under the apartheid government's notorious Terrorism Act, which allowed for indefinite detention without trial. During his imprisonment, Biko was brutally beaten and tortured by police officers. Despite his severe injuries, he was transported over 700 miles to Pretoria Central Prison in the back of a Land Rover, naked and in chains. On September 12, 1977, Steve Biko died in police custody from a brain hemorrhage, a result of the violent treatment he received. Biko's death shocked the world and exposed the brutality of the apartheid regime. The South African government initially claimed that his death was the result of a hunger strike. but this was widely discredited after a post-mortem examination revealed extensive injuries consistent with torture. International condemnation was swift, and Biko's death became a rallying point for the global anti-apartheid movement. His martyrdom galvanized opposition to apartheid both within South Africa and around the world.
Steve Biko's death marked a turning point in the struggle against apartheid. While the regime sought to silence him, his ideas and legacy continue to inspire resistance. The Black consciousness movement, though severely repressed, laid the groundwork for the mass uprisings that would follow, including the 1976 Soweto Uprising, where students protested against the imposition of Afrikaans as the medium of instruction in Black schools. Biko's philosophy influenced a new generation of activists who were determined to overthrow apartheid, not through compromise, but through unyielding resistance. His emphasis on psychological liberation and self-determination resonated deeply with those who were disillusioned with the slow pace of change and the limited effectiveness of earlier anti-apartheid strategies. Internationally, Biko's death drew attention to the horrors of apartheid and intensified calls for economic sanctions, divestment, and boycotts against the South African regime. These measures, combined with internal resistance, gradually eroded the economic and political foundations of apartheid, leading to its eventual downfall in the early 1990s.
Steve Biko's legacy endures as a powerful symbol of resistance and a champion of human dignity. His writings, speeches, and actions continue to inspire movements for social justice and human rights around the world. The principles of Black consciousness, self-respect, self-reliance, and solidarity remain relevant in the ongoing struggles against oppression and inequality. In post-apartheid South Africa, Biko is celebrated as one of the nation's greatest heroes. His life and death are commemorated annually on September 12th, known as Biko Day. His ideas have influenced not only South African society, but also global discourses on race, identity, and liberation. Biko's legacy is also institutionalized in organizations like the Steve Biko Foundation, which promotes his vision of human rights, education, and social justice. His work serves as a reminder of the enduring power of ideas and the sacrifices made in the pursuit of freedom and equality.
Steve Biko's life and activism left an indelible mark on the fight against apartheid and the struggle for human dignity. His unwavering commitment to the principles of Black consciousness and his courage in the face of repression continue to inspire those who seek justice and equality. As we reflect on Biko, we are reminded that true liberation begins with the mind, and that the struggle for freedom, though fraught with challenges, is ultimately a path toward human dignity and collective empowerment.